Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar with StreakWave Grandstream. Grandstream Networks is a leading manufacturer of IP voice, video telephony, and video surveillance solutions. We have a presenter today, Abdel, and in this presentation, he'll be covering the configuration and setup of the call queue feature of the UCM, and he'll also be taking a look at some of the more advanced functions on the call queue to give you additional flexibility on how to manage your call center. Just before we begin the presentation, I just wanted to inform everybody that this webinar will be recorded, and if there are any questions throughout the presentation, please go ahead and type them in the Q&A section, and we'll get them answered after the presentation is complete. Abdel, you may take it away.
Thanks, Angela. As Angela mentioned, today's webinar is going to be about the call queue. So we're going to talk about the different features and parameters built into the call queue feature in the UCM that's going to allow you to have your own inbound call center configured on the UCM. So this is the agenda of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about the call queue features, and we're going to mention some parameters that you can add to your call queue configuration. Then we're going to describe the virtual queue and how you can enable it and take advantage of that sophisticated feature in the call queue. We're also going to talk about how you can assign static agents and what feature codes that you can use to allow agents to log in dynamically. Then we'll talk about the reporting and monitoring tools built into the UCM. Then we will have some live demo. We're going to create a call queue so we can describe all those parameters. The call queue, as you might know, is designed with so many advanced features that are usually found in the call center applications. And some of these applications is the music on hold. The call queue, you can build it with your own customized music on hold. The music on hold can include multiple sound files, and you can just go to the call queue and you can apply that music on hold class with those sound files. And the sound files, they can include multiple types like greetings, music, or you can also upload your own custom messages where you can promote some products or some deals. You can also enable the position announcement and also the wait time announcement. So when users or callers, they call into the call queue, the UCM is going to play their position in the call queue. And also you can configure the time interval to inform the callers of their expected or their estimated wait time in the call queue. And to ensure equal call distribution among agents, the UCM supports 6 ring strategies that you can configure and enable on the call queue. And we're going to talk about these strategies in more details when we go to the live demo. In terms of the monitoring tools available in the call queue, where we have the Switchboard that allows the call queue chairman or supervisor to monitor all the activity going on in the call queue. They also have access to reporting numbers like how many agents and the answer rate, the abandon rate per call queue, and also per agent. Virtual queue, this is a very nice feature. Virtual queue basically allows callers to leave their callback number without losing their position in the call queue. So when there is an agent available to take their call, the UCM is going to call the agent and call back that number so that the agent can get connected to the caller. I have one slide dedicated specifically for that feature, so I can explain it further. In terms of how you can assign agents to the call queue, you can assign them statically. In other words, when you create the call queue in the UCM, you go to the Agents tab and you start selecting the agents that you would like to add to the call queue. There is also the option where you can provide agents with the call queue extension together with the suffix to log in and suffix to log out. And to add even more security to your call queue, you can configure it with a password. So when they try to log into the call queue, they need to enter a password. We're going to explain these features and we're going to configure them when we do the live demo. So this slide will explain how virtual queue work on the UCM. So when callers they call the call queue, the UCM uses the ACD, or what is called the automatic call distribution. This system will distribute the calls based on the ring strategy that is configured when you create the call queue. It's going to forward and transfer calls to the available agents. And when all the agents are busy, that's when it's going to start putting callers on hold and assign each caller a position number based on the first in, first out order. And there are two options when you are put on hold. You can wait in the physical queue, like listen to the music on hold and the sound files, or you can use the virtual queue callback feature just by pressing, I believe, star or 0, and then you can leave your callback number, and then the UCM is going to call you back when there is an agent available, and you're still going to keep your position in the call queue. So in this illustration, you will see that the caller number 2 and caller number 3, they're not waiting in the physical queue. They're actually resuming their work activities. And when their turn arrives, the UCM is going to call them back so that they can get served and assisted by the agent. So it talks about how agents can log into the call queue. There's static assignment. When you create the call queue, you choose the extensions that you want them to be a static member of the call queue. Then there's the option of dynamic login. You just provide them with the call queue extension and the suffix to log in and the suffix to log out. I'm going to show you where you can configure the suffix. And the third option, which is a nice one, especially when you are using the Grandstream IP phones, because this feature works only with the Grandstream IP phones. So when you enable the agent login or agent easy login on the UCM, and you add a minor change to the phone that I'm going to show you later, the LCD screen of the phone is going to add a new soft key with the name UCM CC or UCM call center. And this option works with static assignment, and it's very useful, especially when you have one agent that is a member of multiple call queues. So simply by clicking on the UCM call center, it's going to show them the call queue extensions that agent is a member of. Then they can choose to log in and log out just using the LCD screen of their phone. So in terms of the monitoring tools available for the call queue, there is the Switchboard. The Switchboard allows the call queue supervisor or the call queue chairman to have like a general overview about what's going on in the call queue. It displays information about the calls that are waiting in the call queue. It gives them information about preceding calls, including information about the source caller ID, the agent that is handling the call, and also the wait time or the talk time based on whether it's a waiting call or preceding call. And it also gives them status about the agent, like whether the agent is available, is busy, or the agent's phone is ringing. And I'm going to show you later when we go through the live demo of the UCM how you can assign the call queue supervision to one of the users. In terms of reporting, the call queue is built with statistics, and statistics basically gives you information about the agent and the call queue, like how many calls received, what was the average talk time, what was the average waiting time, how many calls that answered, and how many calls got abandoned. So that gives you an idea, so you can evaluate the efficiency or the performance of each agent. You can also download these statistic numbers in the CSV format, or you can tell the UCM just to send it to you every day at specific time that you configure on the reporting or the statistics page. So now let's go ahead and log into one of the my UCM so we can do some configuration. So you just log in using the login credentials. The call queue configuration is available under call features, call queue. And as you can see, I have some call queues created already. So let's go ahead and create another one. So when you click on add call queue, the UCM is going to assign you an extension automatically. You can always change that one. For example, if you want 6520, you can put 6520. Then the name, let's say this is for support, you can just name it support. And these are the ring strategies available on the call queue. So if you hover over the strategy, it's going to provide you with a tooltip that explains exactly how each one of these strategies work. The main ones probably that you want to use is ring all, linear, or round robin. Ring all, when you choose ring all as the ring strategy, the UCM is going to call all the static agents. And the static agents, you configure them under agents. So let's choose a few of them. So let's say we're going to use 5 agents that are going to become static members of that call queue. And if we choose a ring all, every time there's a call coming in, the UCM is going to call all these agents at the same time. If you choose linear mode, it's going to work this way. It's going to call the first one, then the second one, then the third one. And when the first one becomes available, it's going to start again with the extension 1000. So it always starts from the top based on whether the top extensions are available or they are busy talking or assisting other customers. If you choose round robin, this is how it works. The first call is going to send it to the first extension. The second call is going to go to the second extension. If all of them are available to take calls, the UCM is going to send it to the third one because it remembers the last extension that picked up the call. So it just makes sure that it goes in a round robin. So it's going to go again to 1003, 1004, and start all over again. So it's not like linear, where it always starts with the first extension. Round robin, it remembers so that the last one that took the call, so that it can send it to the next extension. Then there is random, in case you want the UCM to choose the agents randomly. There's also fuse calls. This one is good, especially when you want to create like a balance in terms of the call distribution among the agents. So the UCM will always send the call to the agent with the lowest numbers of answered calls. The music on hold, this is what I was mentioning earlier. By default, the UCM comes with a music on hold class with some sound files. In case you want to customize this one, you just go to PBX and music on hold, and you can create your own music on hold class. You upload the sound files that you want the customers to hear when they call the call queue. And once you do that, when you come back to music on hold, you're going to see that the music on hold class that you just created will show up right here. Next, let's talk about this feature, the max queue length. By default, it's unlimited. You can have as many callers waiting in the call queue as possible. And this value does not count the calls that are already active. In other words, the calls that are already, the callers that are already connected to the agents. And in some cases, you want to define how many numbers you can have in the call queue. This is especially useful when your SIP trunk or your analog trunks, they have a restriction in terms of how many concurrent calls you can have. So instead of like having people calling into the call queue and get the busy tone because your SIP carrier can only allow 5 concurrent calls, you can, for example, if you have 2 agents in the call queue, you can do a calculation like to always have 4, no more than 4. If there's a 5th call coming in, then you can configure another destination. It's like a failover destination. If you choose, for example, voicemail, so if there's a 5th call coming in, the UCM is going to send it to a voicemail. You can create one or dedicate one voicemail to the call queue that is customized with a greeting where you can tell them all our agents are busy right now. Leave us your callback number, and we're going to call you when there's when our agents are available. So this is one way of doing it, and as you can see, the destination right here is under max wait time. One thing to know is that whatever you configure under the destination here is going to apply to both the max wait time and the max queue length. So it works for both of them. By default, the max wait time is 60 seconds. You might want to increase that one, at least probably 5 minutes or 300 seconds. The wrap-up time is the time needed by the agent to wrap up the call in case they need to update the ticket or send a report, or if they need to page a technician in case someone is requesting technical support on the field. So it's up to you. You can customize that one. The default value is 10 seconds. In other words, once the agent hangs up the call, the UCM is not going to send the next call to the agent at least until at least after 10 seconds. So let's talk now about the retry time and the ring time. This is how it works. When you have, let's say, ring all, okay, and there's a call coming in, the UCM is going to ring all the extensions for 30 seconds. Then it's going to pause for 5 seconds and call back again for another 30 seconds. You can adjust these values. These values, especially you want to change them when you are using linear, or especially when you're using round robin or linear. So these are the two probably where you want to put a lower value, like 10 seconds, so that the UCM can call each extension twice and then pause for 5 seconds and call and move to the next agent in the list. Auto record is turned off in case you want to record all your calls in the call queue. Just make sure you set that one to all calls. Excuse me. Next, let's talk about the welcome prompt. You can enable this option. A lot of people, they use it, especially when some call centers, you call them before the phone starts ringing, they tell you this call will be recorded for record keeping or for training purposes, or some kind of disclaimer that they have to play before the UCM starts ringing the extensions of the agents. If you want to have this option, just make sure you enable the welcome prompt, and then you can customize the prompt. You have 2 options. If you have one that is ready in your computer, you can simply click on upload audio file and just upload it to the UCM. In case you want to record one using your IP phone, you might want to need to go to voice prompt. You click on that one, then you set up a custom prompt there. It's a very easy steps. You just click on record prompt, then it's going to call an IP phone. Then from the IP phone, you can register the prompts that you would like to add to the UCM. When done, once you have it all set up, you come back here and then you're going to see it available as an option right here. So as you can see right here, I have this is one that I already uploaded. It's called disclaimer. So when you add another one, you will be able to see it in the drop-down list, so you can choose it and apply it to the welcome prompt. The destination prompt cycle, this is also a nice feature to enable in the call queue of the UCM. Excuse me. By default, the UCM here, especially when you enable this one, every 60 seconds, the UCM is going to play the prompt or the sound file that you uploaded to the UCM. And the way this feature works, it works using the feature code 1. And if you hover over the tooltip, in the description, it's clearly mentioned that you need to press 1 to use this functionality. So when you upload your custom prompt or you upload your audio file, you need to mention in the audio that they need to press 1. So let's say you configure custom prompt and you tell the customer like every minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, it's up to you. You can change these time intervals the way that fits your needs. So in our example here, we have every 2 minutes, the UCM, for example, is going to play this message. And in this message, I'm going to mention to the callers that they need to press 1 in case they want to leave a voicemail instead of waiting in the physical queue. Then I can choose voicemail, and I can choose the voicemail that is dedicated to that feature in the call queue of the UCM. So this is one way of doing it. The other way that you can use is the virtual queue, the one that we talked about during the presentation. By default, it's disabled. And one thing to remember is when you enable these features, because there are so many features right here, make sure you test it so you can see how it works, and try to adjust the time interval so you don't have them like one over the other, especially when you put like short interval, like 20 seconds. Like the users, instead of listening to music on hold, you're just going to be playing a lot of messages. So it's up to you, again, how you want to have it implemented. But these are some things that you need to take into consideration when implementing the call queue. So when you enable this option, the virtual queue, as I mentioned earlier, it allows callers to leave their callback number so that the UCM can call them back when there is an agent available without losing their position in the call queue. So there's an option. There are two modes here. I'm sorry. There are two modes here. There's the timeout mode and there's the DTMF mode. If you choose the timeout mode, the UCM every 20 seconds, you probably want to increase that one to every minute. Every minute, the UCM is going to play a built-in custom prompt that's going to ask the customers to press star to receive a callback to the number you're currently using, or press 0 to set up your callback number, or just simply press pound to continue waiting in the physical queue. So these are two options or two modes, or there's the option to press 2 anytime while they are waiting in the call queue. Again, when you choose DTMF mode 2, you need to mention it somewhere, either in the music on hold file or in one of the custom prompts that you upload to the call queue, so that the customers, they need to know that they can press 2 to leave their callback number. But the one that I usually prefer is the timeout mode, because it's explicit and it's easy to configure, so that you don't have to add other changes to your custom prompts. Another thing with callback number is probably you want to create an outbound route dedicated specifically for this feature in the call queue. Because some users, they might call you, then they're going to leave a callback number that is for an international number. And for example, if your carrier doesn't allow international numbers, the call is not going to go through. So you might want to dedicate one call or one outbound route specifically for this feature. So let me save this option. So as you see right here, I configured the prefix for 99. Then I'm going to go ahead and create one outbound route. And I think I already have one created here. So this is how it works. So this is the outbound route that the callback feature is going to use. I already added the prefix 99, and I told the outbound route to strip the two leading prefix 99 when it sends the call to the carrier. And I also explicitly defined that through this outbound route, I can only call 10 digits and 11 digits number. So if someone puts an international number or 3-digit number, it's not going to go through. This way, you don't have to go through the the problems of calling international or calling 3-digit numbers. So let's go back here and resume the configuration. We talked about position announcement and wait time announcement. You can configure that one, for example, every 40 seconds, so that the UCM can tell the caller to your position in the call is 4 or 1 or 2. Then it's going to tell them the expected wait time is a certain number based on an internal algorithm that the UCM runs to estimate how long they're gonna have to wait in the call queue. And another thing, you need to specify what's going to happen in scenarios where there is no agent logged in, or when all the agents are in their lunch break. So for these options, you have two. The UCM is going to ask you, what do you want me to do if there are agents waiting in the call queue and there is no agents anymore? Like some of them they're logged out, some of them their shift ends, then they have to leave. And the other option is you open the business, but there's no agents logged in yet. So you want to take those scenarios into consideration. That's why you have these two options right here. By default, what's going to happen, the UCM is just going to play a sound message, and the sound message basically says no agent available. So in case you want to have your own announcement, you can use announcement, for example. An announcement, you can configure it, I believe it's under call features right here. You can configure an announcement, or you can send the call to a voicemail. You can, I don't know, you can customize the voicemail, or you could tell your customers, for example, all our agents are busy, or you can just tell them none of the agents is currently connected. You can leave us a voicemail and we will call you back once an agent's logged in. So these are options that you can use for these two scenarios. We talked earlier about agent easy login or easy agent login. So when you enable this feature, this is how it works. If you enable that one, you need to go to the IP phone. Let me see if I can connect to one of the phones. So when you enable this option, you still need to go to the phone. You do go to Accounts, SIP Settings, then Advanced Features, and you look for Special Features. This one, you need to set it to UCM Call Center. Save and apply the change. So for example, if account number 2 is a static member of this call queue and we have this option enabled, it's going to show soft key on the LCD screen of the phone that the agent can use to log in and log out without the need to dial feature codes and remember the call queue extensions and the suffix and all that information. Just from there, they can log in and choose which one they want to log into. It's like a 3-step process. For the queue chairman, this is the nice feature where you can assign some extensions, some users. Let's say we have a user 1002 and we would like to assign it as the call queue supervisor for this call queue. You just choose their extensions and you can add as many as you want, save and apply. So the queue chairman is going to become extension 1002. 1002, when he logs into the portal of the UCM, he needs to use the user password. So we can put something like S1P test. So this is the user or the login credential or the login password that the user 1002 need to use to log in to the web interface of the UCM. So let's save and apply these changes. And let's go ahead and try to connect to the UCM using extension 1002 so we can see what are the options that extension is going to have. This option, by the way, like assigning the extension number as the username and the user password to log in, all the extensions have that option. Just enter the password. But when the user that I designate as the CallQ chairman, when they log in using their account, they're going to have the CallQ feature. So from here, they can monitor what's going on in the CallQ. They have access to the switchboard. They have access to statistics. From here, they can log in and log out agents. For example, if that agent is going on break and they want to log them out, they can log them out. Then they can log them back in. So basically, that extension will be like the supervisor of that CallQ with all the privileges, with all the administrative privileges. So let's continue here. We talked about this. When it comes to, I'll give you this example, this scenario. Sometimes you have one agent that is a member of multiple CallQs, and when they receive a call, it's like they don't know what is this call coming through the support CallQ or through the marketing CallQ, or so to make it easy for the agents to know where this call is coming from or which CallQ this call is going through, you have two options. You can use the replace caller ID name. So when you check this option, what's going to happen? The UCM is going to use the CallQ name and it's going to add it or append it to the original caller ID. So when the phone of the user, the agent rings, he's going to see the caller, the name of the CallQ, the source caller ID, and his extension number. Just using that visual indication, they would know where this call is coming through. The second option that you can use is the alert info. Alert info basically is going to make the phone ring differently. So if you have multiple CallQs and the agent is a member of all these CallQs, you can set, for example, the first CallQ to Bellcore DR1, and then the second CallQ you can set it to rank 2, rank 3. So you have so many alert info options that you can choose from. Save these options. So we talked about static agents. You select and you choose the agents that you want them to be statically assigned to the CallQ. If you go to global queue settings, this is where you configure the suffix for dynamic logging. So when you create a CallQ and the extension of the CallQ, for example, is 6000, if you want agents to log into the CallQ, they need to enter the CallQ extension, appended by the suffix star. To log out, they just need to enter, like here, the CallQ extension appended by 2 stars to log out. The default behavior of dynamic login is that it does not require a password. But if you want to add a password so you can make it more secure, you go to advanced settings of the CallQ, and then you configure the password. It's up to you. You can enter any number in there. You can enter also long numbers. So when they try to log in, the UCM is going to prompt them to enter the password for the CallQ. Another thing that I would like to mention is when you enable easy agent login, which works only with static agents, dynamic agent login will be disabled by default. So you only need to use either one of them. You can't have both of these options available in the CallQ. So we talked earlier about the monitoring and reporting capabilities built into the UCM. For monitoring purposes, there's the switchboard. The switchboard gives you access to all the CallQs configured in your UCM. So for example, if you would like to monitor this CallQ, just select and then you can swap between the other CallQs. So you can see the agents that are available, you can connect them, I mean, you can log them in or you can log them out. For example, this one, it tells you that this extension probably has issues. So stuff like that. So you have so many options that you can do from the call queue as the call queue supervisor. So when there are calls waiting, you're going to see them right here populating. And for the preceding calls, you're going to see them right here. And they also, the UCM also provides you with some options, like you can barge into the call, or you can listen to the call, or you can transfer the call in case an agent needs assistance with a call, or that agent is not qualified enough to handle a call of such request. You can transfer the call to another agent just using the switchboard of the call queue. For call queue statistics, once you click on that one, it gives you an overview about the numbers or the statistical numbers of the call queue, like how many calls you have received, what is the abandon rate, what is the average wait time, and what is the average talk time. You can have access to that information based on the queue, I mean per queue or per agent. So you can evaluate the performance of the agents to see who took most of the calls. You have agent details, you have login record. So when they log in using either the agent easy login or dynamic login, you're going to have the logs here with the time when they logged in and when they logged out. You're also going to have access to the pause log. And by the way, there are some feature codes that the agents, they use to pause. For example, when they want to go to for their lunch break, they have two options. If they're using, for example, agent login or dynamic login, they can simply log in and log out. But the UCM also provides another option, which is the agent pause and the agents and pause. So when they go for the lunch break or coffee break or tea break, they can simply, as a static agent, they can simply dial *83 to pause. And then when they come back from their break, they dial *84 to end pause from the call queue. And for the queue recording, especially when you enable your call recording in the call queue, this is where you have access to all the recordings. You can download them one by one, or you can simply select all of them and click on download all. You can clear, delete. So you have a lot of flexibility in terms of the things that you can do from the call queue switchboard and statistics, and also the configuration page. So I believe this is it for the presentation. Angela, if you have any questions from the users.
Yes, a couple questions came through. So earlier in your presentation, someone was asking that they're using 1.0.19.29. So what version supports the welcome prompt? Because they're unable to see that.
Oh yeah, you might be right. Because we just added this option on the latest firmware. So the version that I'm currently running on this UCM is 1.0.20.17. I'm sorry, it's right here. Yeah, it's the same version, 1.0.20.17. So that's the version. It's the latest version. If you go to the Grandstream website, that's the latest version or the official firmware version that you can upload to your UCM.
All right, perfect. The other question is, can you configure the UCM to send static via email?
Oh, yes. So let's go back here to the call queue statistics. So earlier I mentioned that you can download that information manually, or you can set up an automatic download. You just need to enable that one, and you choose what type of statistic information you would like to download from the UCM, and you just enter your email and you specify the time of the day where you want to receive that email. So when you receive an email, you're going to get a CSV file with all the information regarding the statistics of the call queue.
Okay. Is there a way to get the queue monitoring statistics on a video screen live?
I mean, yeah, I see. So they want to have, yeah. I mean, that depends. Is like because the UCM, you can only have access to that information through HTTPS. But if you have access to it on your computer, you can use some HDMI connectors, or it depends what kind of monitor your system uses. So you can display that information from your computer and send it to the monitor. It's like the same way you do it with basic any monitor, and you can send it that way to your TV in case you have a big monitor.
Okay. And how many static agents can become members of the call queue?
Oh yeah, that's a good question too. So when you add agents to the call queue, the number of supported static agents depends on the model of your UCM. For example, my UCM model that I'm using for today's webinar is 6510. I can have up to 150 static agents. If you are using the UCM 6202, you can have up to 23 static agents. UCM 6208, you can go up to 75 static agents, I believe. And for 6204, you can go up to 45 static agents.
Okay. Another question here, are abandoned calls that the caller hangs up while waiting in the queue, do they include calls that an agent doesn't take or answer?
I'm sorry, Angela, can you just repeat that question one more time? I think you're talking about abandoned call.
Sure. Are abandoned calls that the caller hangs up while waiting in the queue, do they include calls that an agent doesn't take or answer?
So again, that depends. If you use the call queue statistics, abandoned call, that means someone called the call queue and nobody answered the call. When you go to the agent statistics, right here, the agent details, and this is where you see if the agent actually abandoned, did not answer the call. So you have two options. The one that you see under overview, this one applies to the ones that called the call queue, but nobody answered the call. And if you go to agents and you have access to the to those details, that applies to that agent. That means the caller calls the UCM sent the call to the agent was available, but he or she did not pick up the call. So you have access to both of them, but the one that you see under overview, this one applies to the call queue.
Okay. Is there any way to use the call queue statistics to track outbound calls by the agent?
Yeah, it's right here. So if you go under statistics, it's going to show you information about how many callback calls were made from the UCM. And again, as I mentioned earlier, when you create the callback, the virtual queue callback, and you set the prefix, you can always go back to CDR, so you can have access to that information from the information about the callbacks initiated by the call queue.
Can the call queue be integrated with third-party solutions?
I believe on the latest firmware, we added a new third-party platform that you can integrate with the UCM. It's called the Q Matrix. So in case you are using that third-party solution, you can always configure it to get information from the UCM. If you go to the Grandstream website, there's already a document that explains to you in details how you can set up the UCM with the Q Matrix third-party application.
Perfect. It doesn't look like there's any more questions that came through, so I just wanted to let everybody know, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Abdel, for the presentation. Again, this webinar was recorded, so we will make sure we get that sent to everybody that attended today. Any last-minute things that you wanted to say, Abdel?
I think I'm good. Thank you, Angela, and thanks everyone for attending this webinar.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.